Flyperbole, flip, flyperbole. Flyperbole, flip, flyperbole. Flyperbole, flip, flyperbole.
Oh, baby, we are back. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, let's go. Here we are, a new Flyperbole. Maybe our second of the year. I haven't even paid attention. I don't know. I'm a busy man. You're a busy man. You've got like killer allergies coming up out of nowhere, and you got to like do AI images of you in like Cowboys jerseys and shit. I don't know what's going on with your
All
life.
right.
Are you okay?
First things first.
Okay?
First things first. Let me explain. Let me just get to the bottom of this.
That was
right
the
off
worst
bat.
image I've ever seen.
It was AI generated. It wasn't even real. So like was
number one. That makes it worse in my opinion, because AI is the devil.
It is the devil. So, and I didn't make it either. One of my friends made it. But basically, we're in a fantasy football league together. I came in last because I suck at fantasy football. I am not good at fantasy football at all. Fantasy hockey, I'm a god. Fantasy football, trash. So
I had two leagues. I came in last in one and second in the other. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The duality of your fantasy football league.
Yeah. I'm blaming Lamar Jackson.
I came in last place and we were all trying to discuss what the penalty would be. And then someone came up with the idea of like, you need to wear a Cowboys jersey. And I was like, you buying that? Because I ain't buying that. There's no way. And they basically were like, all right, instead we'll like make a photo of an image of you wearing a Cowboys jersey and you have to post it on your IG for 24 hours. And then when you delete it, that's when you can tell everyone, okay, hey, like if you're curious why I did that, this is why. So yeah, that's what happened there. And then
I left one comment on it and I just said, you're fired.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Clearly that didn't take.
I wasn't allowed to respond to anyone. So, and then in terms of allergies, I have gotten a new bottle of Flonase. So bitches, I am back and ready to fuck.
There you go. There you go. Flonase is a magical substance right there. I do love
It's the
Flonase.
best allergy medicine. It's not an antihistamine. So like I don't know. It's like
it goes in and it flushes everything. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you're back and I'm glad you're not in a Cowboys jersey. So fantastic. See, the penalty should have to be that you listen to a full Cole Beasley album. In its entirety.
The United Hate of America.
United Hate of America, 80 Stings, all the greatest hits. We haven't mentioned the Beezer. He's not the Beezer. That's John Van Beesbrook, and he's a racist. So, no, there's no good Beezers. There's no good Beezers. Joel Farabee, I never liked the Beezer nickname for him, and also he's a Calgary Flame now, so who cares? But Cole Beasley used to be a Flyperbole staple. We have not brought him up in a while. Been a while. And there's a reason, because he sucks. But it's one of my favorite references because United Hate of America is so friggin' funny as a title. Well, there's so much I want to get into. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get to talk on the fact that there's an image out there of Guy Fieri looking like a normal person that's probably teasing a Super Bowl ad. I guess we'll see. I don't even think we have time to get into that because there's so much bullshit with the Philadelphia Flyers to get into. I wanted to kind of on just completely off that topic before we really got into stuff. I did want to say a few words about a really horrible thing that happened this week. And that was the passing of Dan McQuaid, who, if you've been around on like Philly Twitter, Philly Blue Sky, just the Philly sports scene in general, or even Philadelphia in general, you probably have heard of Dan McQuaid. It's DHM on Twitter. He is just a guy who he's been like a staple of the Philadelphia online community. And one of those guys who just got Philly in a way that few other people have. Dan wrote for Philly Mag. He wrote for Deadspin before it turned into Scab Zombie Deadspin. And he wrote for Defector. And just an amazingly talented guy. He passed away earlier this week at the age of 43, which shook me to my core as somebody right around that age. And it's such a bummer because like I knew Dan. I didn't get to hang out with him as much as a lot of people I know, but like the times I did were great times. Like I just remember a couple times I got to go to Oscars with him, Philly Kelly, who's one of the other Twitter staples from back in the day. I'm talking some old school Twitter right here, but I don't know, Quigs. I know you're newer to the city of Philadelphia, but are you familiar with Oscars at all?
No, I haven't heard of that place.
Oscars is such a glorious Philadelphia dive bar staple. It's right in the center of Center City, like the heart of Center City. It's over on like Sansom Street near like 15th. And it's one of those places that is so quintessentially Philadelphia because everybody goes there, all walks of life. You get the lawyers, you get the businessmen, you get the scumbags, you get the average Joes. Everybody goes to Oscars, and it's great. Oscars was notable for having, I don't know what the specials are now, but back in the day, you got a very tall Yangling for like $4 or something like that. It was basically like a double beer, and it was great. I mean, Yangling's not my favorite, but you know what? Number one, when you're broke, a tall beer for $4 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Number two, it's all about the vibes, and Oscars had fantastic vibes. It has fantastic vibes, but Dan would go there frequently for happy hour. He had a table. He had a whole setup. I went in, I got a couple free shots the one time. Awesome time. Just such a cool, fun guy to hang out with, but also just like a genuinely great guy and such a fantastic writer. Like you might know him. I think he's probably best known for either the Wildwood Boardwalk t-shirt articles that he put out every year, where he'd run down the new Wildwood t-shirts. That the Wildwood Boardwalk is infamous for just the dumbest, worst, hilariously bad t-shirts. And McQuaid would find the best of them and publish it over on whatever site he was writing for. And I know a lot of people know him for that. A lot of people also know him for, he wrote a great article, I believe it was on Philly Mag, where he was talking about how insane Rocky's training route from Rocky 2 is, because Rocky basically runs over the entire city of Philadelphia in a way that makes zero sense. So, and now they do a race around it. They do this like Rocky run, and it's like very long. And it's all because he wrote this article, and it's such a good one. Please go check it out if you haven't already. But he just was so talented. He wrote so many great things, and also just a great knowledge of Philly sports knowledge and weird Philadelphia stuff, just chronicling that stuff. And it's just, he's a guy that I think we're all going to really miss. It really shocked a lot of people. I was really happy to see that the Sixers held a moment of silence for him before their game last night, and the Flyers had a little tribute at the beginning of their broadcast last night. That was really cool to see, and I didn't expect it, so it took me back. And it really just a guy that's going to be missed. And the man was Philly, and we lost a piece of our soul this week. So rest in peace, Dan, and we will keep thinking about you and pay tribute to you as best as we can.
Yeah, I'm personally not familiar with a ton of Dan's work. Obviously, I'm still pretty new to Philly, but it definitely feels like he has touched a lot of Philly sports fans' lives, and really just Philadelphians' lives in general. And it's sad, especially at that age, like it's just off. You hate hearing that stuff. And so, yeah, it's a shame to hear that, but it seems like he left behind a pretty cool legacy. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
It is really cool. And he's such a great example for taking advantage of the time you have and like really living life to the fullest. And I really feel like he lived life to the fullest, and he made some great work, and just an awesome guy. So, rest in peace, Dan. We will definitely miss you. Well, now we got to talk about the Flyers, which is just not something
I would rather not.
Nobody wants to talk about the Flyers.
I think we should just end the podcast now.
We could just end the podcast now. That's not a very, inspiration. It's a very weird place to end the podcast. But
oh, yeah, it would be.
We're not going to. We're going to talk it out. And I've had to do a lot of very overreactionary, like post-game reactions for stuff, because I do a ton of post-games for PHLY now. But it's a different vibe when I can come and I can talk this out with you without the heat of just seeing a bad loss.
Yeah.
I with a clearer head, with an eye for the future, like it's good to be able to talk about it in this regard, as opposed to like in the heat. Like, don't get me wrong, I love doing the post games, but like it's a different vibe entirely. And especially after some of the losses they've had recently, It's a very frustrated vibe. But I'm sure our fine sponsors over at FanDuel, who the show's presented by, are loving this right now. But we can't control the vibes. We can't control the team. We control the team. They would have won 1 million Stanley Cups, but we can't control the team. So they won 0 since hashtag 1975. That's where we're at. And we already knew they weren't winning it this year, but it has been very much reinforced over the past month of Flyers hockey. So let me run this down for you. Let me run this past month down for you. So in their last 10 games, the Flyers are 2-7-1. Awesome. In the month of January, they are 4-8-2. They're 10 points out of a wild card spot. They're 8 points out of the 3 spot in the Metro. So coming into this week, they were only a couple points behind the Islanders. So they were in the hunt still coming into this week. And now they are very much in the rearview mirror. It's looking real bad all of a sudden. And it's one of those things that is probably for the best. They're very much improved. They are who we thought they were, but it's super depressing because this team was playing really good hockey for a couple months. It was a team that we did have very low aspirations about maybe making the playoffs, but it was something, it was something to hope for. And it has been washed away over these past few weeks. So they start the month, right? They start the month great. 5-2 wins over the Oilers and the Ducks. It's looking great. We're feeling good. We had a great time watching that Oilers game. We went over to the Triangle Tavern. Awesome time. We ran into a Broad Street hockey follower who had actually won a TK jersey and was wearing his TK jersey at the bar. So cool to see. And then the Ducks game, they go and they beat up on the Ducks.
Yeah.
Beat that ass. Cutter Gauthier went home crying again. It was awesome. And then since then, they had back-to-back blowout losses at home against the Lightning. Embarrassing, right? But the Lightning really.
It's the Lightning. It's okay. It's the Lightning. It's whatever.
Yeah. But then that's when it goes really awry because they had disastrous losses after that. Because if they had beaten any two of the Penguins, Sabres, and Rangers, would have been okay. They lose to all 3. And the Rangers are so bad that Chris Drury,
the letter, part 2.
Chris Drury sent a letter saying, "We give up." It was basically a white flag saying, "Yep, it ain't happening. We're going to sell. So long. You guys deserve better." So they lose to the Rangers like the day after that letter sent. So pretty hilariously bad. So we're feeling bad. And then they went on a West Coast trip, or not even the West Coast, like Mountain Time trip. And we're like, all right, this doesn't look good. They played Vegas, Utah, and Colorado. Like, this looks real bad. They could get buried this week. They had a great trip. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. They should have won all 3.
Yeah, should have been.
Travis Konecny single-handedly lifts the team. Well, I would say Sam Harrison. That's the one game I have to give Sam Harrison credit for.
Yeah.
But TK and Sammy Harrison go and they get that 2-1 victory over Vegas. Fantastic. They blow a lead against Utah. They still get a loser point, but it's at least progress in the right direction. They were dominating that game. They should have won that game. A hilarious series of errors involving an empty net and Travis Sanheim having the worst play of his entire, maybe career, lead to them blowing that game, but they do get the loser point. Then they blow away the Colorado Avalanche. Second regulation loss at home for the Avalanche. What? How does that happen? So they come into this week and all right. They got a little momentum. They got a little bit of mojo back. Dan Vladar's coming back. Maybe we're looking good. They play the Islanders. They play the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Boston Bruins. All teams around them in the standings.
Winnable games. Winnable games.
All winnable games. All games that if they win, they're back in a playoff spot. They're looking good again. And what do? They shit the bed on every one of them. They get shut out by the Islanders 4-0. They lose 5-3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And don't get me wrong, the Blue Jackets are at that point, they were only a couple points behind the Flyers. So it's not like it was a night and day difference between them, but that's a game you got to win. You got to win it at that point. You absolutely have to. And then Boston last night, the Flyers lose 6-3, and it was just a game that the Flyers outshot the Bruins, but it didn't feel like the Flyers had any business even being that close in the game.
Yeah.
So we now find ourselves yet again at the point where you're like, this fucking team, man. Like we signed on today and you're like, I don't want to talk about this team,
Steve, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I haven't felt this apathetic about the Flyers since I started watching hockey. I'm just so over it. I'm so over the perpetual mediocrity. It's so defeating. Year after year, game after game, it's the same old song and dance. Aerosmith. Where's what the hell's his name?
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler.
It's just, they started off the year so strong. And we saw something very similar a couple of years ago, the second Torts season. They were great through the first half. They were so good. And then shit just hit the fan and they crumble in the second half of the season. And that's exactly what's happening again. And again, they don't have the talent to put everything together. And listen, credit to TK, credit to Travis Konecny. He's been playing great lately. Would love if he was a little bit more consistent because he can be pretty hit or miss, but credit where it's due. He's been fantastic lately.
Now the Flyers leader in points on the team. It's funny because in the first quarter of the season, people were giving him a lot of crap. People were basically blaming Travis Konecny for the Flyers' issues. And they weren't having that many issues at that point. The team was actually playing really well. And Trevor Zegras in particular is playing really well. And it was funny because I looked at it, and at that point, TK was only a couple points behind Zegras, and everybody was acting like Zegras was God, and Travis Konecny was just utter shit. And then Travis Konecny now is the guy on top for the points. He's been the one guy over the past 2 weeks of Flyers hockey that has been consistently going out there and putting forth a good effort. He's been scoring goals. He has just been trying to will this team to win, and the rest of them just ain't doing it. And I don't know, there's so many things to break down as far as what the issue is, but I think the one thing we can say is it ain't Travis Konecny.
No, it's not Travis Konecny. There's like you said, there's a million things, but he's been good. Dan Vladar, when he's healthy, he's been great. I mean, the game against who was it a couple nights ago? Columbus. TK and Dan Vladar were spectacular. TK scores every goal for the Flyers. He gets a hat trick. Dan Vladar makes two of the most insane saves any goalie will make all year long. In the same night, it was incredible. He was absolutely fantastic in his first game back from injury. And then they totally shit the bed again, as we're used to them doing. Travis Sanheim, just like you mentioned, just gets absolutely worked on that goal. And it's just, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the Utah game, but
you're just mixing up all the bad games.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so much bad.
Yeah.
It's easy to get it all mixed up. And Steve, it's just, I've had it. I've had it, man. And listen, I'm going to keep watching the games. I'm going to keep rooting for the Flyers. There's no way I'm going to just abandon ship. That's not how I roll. But it's, how can you be enthusiastic about this team right now? Listen, it's, the season's not over, right? It is possible that they could go on a heater and claw their way back into playoff contention. Am I expecting that? No. Is that likely? Abso-fucking-lutely not. It's just not, that's not going to happen. We've seen this movie so many times. We know what's going to happen. We're all bringing out Tankathon. We're all hoping to get some sort of top 10 pick, hopefully top 5. Maybe they get McKenna, who the hell knows? But even if that happens, people won't be happy because he's a goddamn winger. It's a fucking drama soap opera, Steve. This whole fucking thing. It's just, my God, I've had it.
It is so funny to me because, as you know, I've been doing this quite a while at this point, to see when people hit their breaking points with this iteration of the team, because it seems like it hits people at different times. I feel like mine really hit in the Tony D'Angelo, Nick Deloria offseason. That one really got me, but everybody kind of breaks at some point because that you have to, because the perpetual mediocrity, the just blunders, the errors, and it doesn't matter who the coach is. it seems like it's going to happen, and I don't know how to fix it. They talk, it's funny because like I haven't been as online as I used to be because I'm not on Twitter. I'm mainly, I do Blue Sky, and I don't do it as much as I used to do Twitter because I kind of broke the addiction, which is great. And it doesn't have as big a hockey community. There are some great people on there that I do love talking puck with, but it doesn't have the same sheer number of people as Twitter had. But it's good for me mentally because I'm missing out on some just scorching hot takes that people have. And apparently culture is back in the conversation as far as like, oh, to see what they did with the culture. And, I'm going to get into this conversation with Sean Couturier in a few minutes because I think that's an interesting and a big part of, I think the struggles here and the attempt to turn the corner and change this team. But it's just so funny because like they did try the culture thing with John Tortorella. That's when the culture thing was the big conversation there. They've tried to change a few things, but they just keep getting the same mediocre, just results out of this team. And it's frustrating because you do just watch the same shit different year. And I just, at this point, I'm kind of feeling more, and part of this might be just having to do the sheer number of post games that I've been doing. But for me, I'm just like, okay, I guess they fooled us for a couple months, but they've resorted back to the mean. And in a lot of ways, it's better that they just don't get into the play. Like we said this 2 years ago too, where it's like when they just missed the playoffs, like, yeah, it's probably better they didn't make the playoffs so that they get a better draft pick. Like I went on a rant the other night where I talked about how sick I am of hearing about draft picks. Like I hate knowing draft picks. Like I hate doing research on them. I like the days when they would just trade the pick and I didn't have to think about it because they take these wild swings. And you watch teams like Vegas, you take these big swings. I've got a list of guys I'd love for them to take big swings on that if we have time, I'd love to talk about. I'm not sure we're going to get to talk about it because there's so many just bad, rotten things to talk about. But I miss when this team did have the capability of taking these big swings and made the playoffs routinely. And we didn't just have to talk about this team being in the 20 to 15 range as far as the NHL standings go. And just watching what has happened over the past 3 weeks, it's like, it's hard to point to one specific thing as the problem, but there's definitely like a multitude of issues. But the main thing is it sucks. It sucks to watch this every year. At some point, it just feels like even if they're doing good, Lucy's going to pull the football away from Charlie Brown.
That's what it is. And it's, that's the hardest part is we got a taste of what a competitive hockey team looked like earlier on in the season. They were legitimately good, like really, really good. They were, at one point I think they had like the 4th best points percentage in the entire league. Like they were
crushing it for a while.
team.
Yeah.
And now they look like a shell of that team. They look like the same old Flyers that we've known since the Chuck Fletcher days, basically. And it's just, it's so frustrating. And I'm at the point now where it's just like, listen, man, like they've tried to shake things up. They've tried, they traded Joel Farabee. They traded Morgan Frost. They've made some moves. I don't care, man. You got to shake it up more. You got to shake it up more because it's not working. And we're hearing reports of the locker room, like it's super tight knit and everything, but like guys are like, they're not holding each other accountable. Something's got to change. What's going to like,
so what do you think? What do you think needs to change? Is there anything in particular you really think needs to change here?
Listen, they've been changing the coaches. They've been changing the general managers. And it's been the same result for 10 years, a decade. So
the roster's different. Like the only guy that's not different, and maybe this is part of it, is Sean Couturier. This is a perfect transition to Couturier, but I do have my due diligence to do here. And, Travis Konecny has also been here for a good portion of that.
Yeah.
And I don't really think he's a guy to blame for this because I think he's fiery. I think he's a good leader. And I think he's been consistently good for this team. You can make an argument all day about whether they should have traded him before they re-signed him. But Travis Konecny is a guy who consistently performs for this team. And I got to say, Travis Konecny, if there's one guy I am looking to, place a little bit of action this weekend on old FanDuel, in the game against the LA Kings, Travis Konecny for an anytime goal is plus 235. So I like that a lot. Travis Konecny is the one guy producing right now. Head on over to FanDuel. 235 odds for a TK goal. That'll net you a few bucks. Go on and get that. But yeah, Sean Couturier has been a guy
Awful.
that he's been bad for sure. But I wasn't pinning this all on him. And it wasn't because I've been so removed from that Twitter conversation, because I'm not really in like any discords. I'm really just in the BSH Slack where people might be crazy, but it's more my sort of crazy that I can relate to in the hockey talk, and everybody they have sound reasoning for their arguments. And I don't think anybody's just a hot take artist in there. We don't have, BSH is very good at not employing just a bunch of hot take artists. And it wasn't until I saw some just chats when I was doing PHLY that I realized how much discourse was out there around Sean Couturier and his captaincy, and also just in general, this culture argument. And people really do seem to be upset with Couturier in particular. And, it's not fair to Sean Couturier because from all accounts, Sean Couturier is a well-liked captain. People really do like him in the locker room. He's a well-liked player historically throughout his career, but there is also the fact that, and it's not his fault that Chuck Fletcher offered him a huge contract and he suffered the injuries he did.
Yeah.
But all of that said, Sean Couturier does wear the C. That is always the position. That is always what's going to get the most scrutiny on any hockey team, but especially one in Philadelphia. And Sean Couturier also is just a shell of his former self. We see flashes every now and then of his former self, but he just is not who he used to be. Rick Tocchet finally got to the point where he was like, all right, I think I need to do something about this. And he put him on the fourth line for the game against the Bruins with Nick Delorier and Garnet Hathaway, which might as well be the dead zone. Like, those guys are all like, they could all retire tomorrow and it would be fine, as far as I'm concerned. And he hasn't scored since the day that will live in infamy, December 7th. So Sean Couturier really has just not been himself. And what is himself anymore? What is Sean Couturier's self? And what do you do about this? Because you can't, I looked at it. Buying him out is a nightmare. Buying him out just makes no sense for this team, because you are going to have to deal with $6+ million in dead cap space for many years to come, which is horrible. I don't know if you convince him to retire. I don't know if you can work out some sort of retention deal with somebody, but it does feel like at this point, especially because the big position you need to upgrade is center, you got to do something about Sean Couturier at some point.
At this point, Steve, he is a defensive fourth line, maybe on a good day, third line center. That's what he is. He shouldn't be playing higher up than that in the lineup. That's just what he is. And if he's playing that role and he's playing sheltered minutes, that's where we are right now, Steve. Like, we're talking about sheltering Sean Couturier, the best center on the team, the best, like the captain of the team.
I think it's Christian Dvorak now.
It might be. Honestly,
I think it definitely is Christian Dvorak.
Like, Sean Couturier has to be sheltered now. He has to get 12 minutes a night. I mean, that's where we are. And, I'm not going to sit here and say it's his leadership that's the problem. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know. I from what I have seen, like, from just from his general demeanor, he does seem like kind of a quiet-ish guy. Like, he doesn't strike me as a yeller and screamer or anything like that.
I'm not sure they have any yellers or screamers on this team right now. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe they do need, because from my understanding in the Giroux
I don't want a
days,
JT Miller on the team. I don't want that.
No. But from my understanding in the Giroux days, Giroux was more of the lead by example guy of the leadership group. And Wayne Simmons was more of the guy to confront you on playing like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Like, and who did they have before Wayne Simmons and Claude Giroux? Chris fucking Pronger. Like, sure. They had, and then before him, Mike Richards. Like, they had these.
You think
guys.
Even back in the day, like Rod the Bod was probably the guy to get in your face and say, like, what are you doing out there? Rod Brindamore is one of those all-time competitors for this team. So they've always kind of had a guy who can be just enough of I don't want to say an asshole, but a guy who will call you out when you're not doing your thing. And you're right. There might not be a guy on this roster currently that does this. I mean, they have like 3 best friends currently in Zegras, Drysdale, and York. So
Yeah.
like they have some really like maybe Konecny. Like Konechny's the one guy. He's been leading by example recently, and I appreciate the hell out of that. But yeah, Couturier, I mean, he used to lead by example. He used to put the team on his back and just be an outstanding two-way player. Just there is what he has done for this franchise is monumental. Like what he has done is fantastic. But it really does feel like at this point, if you got to work your way out of that contract, and it feels like a big thing that has to change because that's a lot of cap space right there. That's a lot of money that you could be paying to a future star player. And I know things are bleak right now, but you do have like star players in the works. I know it's a sophomore slump for Matvei Michkov. We know how special he can be, though.
He'll be okay.
He'll be okay. Porter Martone looks fantastic. I'm so excited. You cannot dampen my spirits for Porter Martone no matter what.
I'm going to be honest. Like we got in a little, we were just kind of like spitballing, screwing around in the BSH Slack a couple days ago. And I kind of admitted like, dude, I might be higher on Martone than I am on Michkov. And now granted, is it recency bias in terms of like, Michkov hasn't been playing well this season. He came to camp out of shape. Like, how much does that have to do with it? But I just don't like Porter Martone doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would ever come to camp out of shape. Like he strikes me as a kind of heart and soul kind of guy. He's been a captain on basically every team he's played. He was the captain at Brampton. He was the captain for Team Canada at the World Juniors. Like he's a leader. He's a legitimate leader. And, I think that's awesome. I think the Flyers need someone like that, even if it's this 19-year-old kid. It's funny now that we're talking about Michkov and we're talking about, who's going to be the guy in the locker room to call other guys out. It's actually funny, Steve, because I think if there is one guy in the locker room who would do that, it would be Michkov. Only problem is he barely speaks any fucking English, so he can't do it. He doesn't know.
We got to get him those lessons, and we got to get him in shape.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, the team has to pay Jaromir Jagr whatever the hell he wants to just drag Matvei Michkov around for the entire offseason. Yeah. Teach him both English and how to properly work out like a beast. Yeah. If he could teach him those things, he's golden. But yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on like if I'm more excited for either player, but like I'm so pumped for Martone as a concept because I really do think if they can figure out something at center, they are cooking because I think they're really missing Tyson Forrester right now. Like
I do too. Yeah.
I was thinking about this last night because they've struggled on the power play since he got hurt. Noah Cates has not been the same since he got hurt. Tyson Forrester and Noah Cates were the dynamic duo. They were Batman and Robin, with Bobby Brink being one of the 800 other people who hang around Gotham City over there. But there was something special about those two. And if you look at Noah Cates' offensive number, Noah Cates currently sitting at 6th on the Flyers in points behind Michkov and Dvorak. And Cates, just looking at his game log, so Tyson Forrester gets hurt in early December, right?
Yeah.
So Noah Cates since then, he's had stretches of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like he's had like 5 game stretches without points here and there. He's really struggled lately offensively. He really has, let's see, he had an assist against Colorado, had an assist against Buffalo, and he had 2 assists against Anaheim. He hasn't scored a goal since December 30th at Vancouver. So Cates is a guy, he misses his bud there. And Cates is a very good defensive player, but if he doesn't have a guy with that chemistry to get that offense going, he's not the same. This team desperately, they need centers and they need some guys with size and skill. Like I think Porter Martone's going to help a lot there, but they got to figure something out at center. And I think if they're ever going to try and get to that next level, they're really going to have to excel there because I like Christian Dvorak and I have accepted his deal better than a lot of people. It's 2 years too long for sure, but I think he's a fine player. And I know for a lot of people that exemplifies the media, they needed somebody to play center for the next few years.
Yeah.
Sean Couturier,
again, just to really quickly interject, kind of to what we were talking about on the last time that we recorded. If Christian Dvorak's contract is what breaks the Flyers, then I got some news for you. That's not the problem. It's not the Christian Dvorak contract. So I just want to say that. So go ahead.
That's a great statement. I 100% agree with you there. It's way more than that. Yeah, we all know it's too long for sure. The money's fine. It's too long, but they're going to need more than that anyway. And as much as I love Noah Cates, they need an upgrade over Noah Cates. They absolutely do. They need a center who can score. That's the long and short of it. I'm so curious about Jack Berglund. I really like that he just captained a team that won a medal. I think that's cool. I think he's shown strides. I don't know if he has any ceiling more than a 3C, but I'm curious. I want to see him over here. You know what really pissed me off? When I was looking at the Boston Bruins roster yesterday, and I saw what Morgan Geekie's done with that team since they got him.
I know.
And that's something I would love to see the Flyers do. I would love to get a Morgan Geekie has 30 goals for the Bruins this year. Morgan Geekie, who was a fine player with the Kraken. Like, I never really thought about him more than 2 seconds. The guy's having a career. He had 33, I think, last year for the Bruins. He's already has 30 for the Bruins this year. Morgan Geekie. Where do you get this from? And that's the thing. Danny Briere has been very good at finding a lot of these guys. Trevor Zegras, based on what I've seen, and again, I think Tocchet needs to give him more of an extended look, but based on what I've seen, Zegras ain't a center. Yeah. I do not think he is based on what I've seen. I would like to see more, but he was really rough in that Bruins game, and he's been rough every time I've seen him otherwise start at center this year.
But you know, real quick about Zegras, I mean, I know right now he's going through a really rough slump, but I mean, who on the team isn't, frankly? Yeah. And, you know, you look at Zegras, and this season, this is the best he's ever looked in his career. Really, it is. I know he's not doing the Michigans, he's not doing the Dichigans, he's not doing anything like that, but he's playing spectacular. This is easily the best he's looked as an NHL player, and he's doing it on the wing. And I know he said in the offseason, like, listen, I view myself as a center. Great. That's all well and good. Love that for you. But you know what? Like, you're playing better at the wing than you were at center. You're not winning faceoffs. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think right now he's a wing. You keep him there because, listen, he's not going to fret about staying. Like, he's already very heavily inferred that he plans on being in Philly. Yeah. So, yeah.
And he's more competitive than I did not know how fiery this guy could be. And I don't think he's quite had that over the past month, but again, who has? They all look kind of defeated right now. I would like to see that back. I'm hoping that Martone, man. And now that I think about it, like, I'm hoping Martone could be that guy to maybe hold them accountable when he comes up here.
And he's a shit stirrer too, Steve. Like, we saw him at the World Juniors smacking that ass as he goes by the bench. Good for him. I love that. And then
that's the other. I think they're great shit stirrers, but they don't capitalize when they get on the power play. They have literally the worst power play yet again in the league. And if they can figure out I'm now talking myself back into, like, this team is not irreparably broken. There is definitely great building blocks for the future, but yeah, they got to change some shit up. And I really want to see them make a try. And I know Danny Briere knows this is the thing. I'm very aware he is aware of this, but I feel like they got to try for somebody at center. Okay. I've seen names floated out there. I don't know who's actually available. I don't know who would be a great fit based. And you know what? To be honest, I don't know what to think about Tocchet at this point. You know,
I don't either, man. Like, and listen, he's not going to get fired. That's just not going to happen.
No, not the first year.
No, but I mean, listen, things were well and good and dandy earlier on. Right now, this is awful. I mean, this team looks this looks as bad as they looked at the end of the John Tortorella era. I mean, this is horrible. And
I think that's part of why everybody's despairing right now is, like, the players look so disjointed. Yeah. Like that Columbus game, like, how do you not score more goals on Merzlikins? How do you not provide better defense against the Columbus Blue Jackets for Dan Vladar in his first game back? And again, they have good defensive players. I am completely over. I was never into Rasmus Ristolainen that much in the first place, but I'm completely over Rasmus Ristolainen. I would very much like to get off this ride. There are so many things here that are, but like I wasn't in on Rick Tocchet, then I was, and now I'm again like, I don't know about this guy. But yeah, it's early. Who's to say? I don't love his handling of Mishkov. I don't like some of the juggling he's done or lack of juggling.
Mhm.
I thought it was a weird decision right now against a big team in Boston to put Trevor Zegras between Matvei Mishkov and Bobby Brink without like any big bodies to support them on there, because I just saw Mishkov and Brink getting shoved to the side in that game.
Mhm.
And I don't, some of the comments they've never been Torts level egregious for sure, but there are definitely comments that make me go like a little bit like, huh?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Okay.
One thing that I found interesting after the Bruins game was Travis Konecny's media availability after the game, where he basically said, listen, man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of missing the playoffs. Like he wants to go to the playoffs so bad. And he basically said something along the lines of, listen, all the leaders in the room, we all know we got to be better. That starts with talk. Like, I don't think that was him taking a shot at talk. I don't think that's what it was. I think he literally means like, yeah, talk is one of our leaders and he knows that we need to be better. I think that's what he really meant.
Yeah.
But like, it's, there's so much frustration on this team. And, honestly, if we're going to go back to this conversation about the leadership and, guys calling each other out again, TK clearly, he's fed up. He's pissed off. He's the one who's saying, I'm tired of this. I'm so tired of not going to the playoffs. I want to go to the fucking playoffs. And then you got Couturier, who's just kind of saying the same old stuff. Like, yeah, we got to be better, this and that. And it's just like, show some fucking fire here, my man.
Yeah.
Like it's in TK, you never have to worry about that with TK. He's going to be fired. Like I've been in the locker room with him after a loss before. And like, he may not say anything outlandish, but like, he's pissed. He walks into the media scrum. He's all shitty and pouty, which listen, you should be, you just lost. Like, I get it. But like, it's funny. It's just, TK really seems to be the one, if someone's going to be calling someone out, like, of the English speaking players on the team, I don't think he refrains. But yeah, man, it's just, there's so much that frustrates me. And I do want to bring up, you brought up how they got to get a center, and Steve, that has to be the number one priority this offseason. Number one priority. I don't care what it takes. Like, and you know what? Listen, it's going to be hard to get a number one center. Like everyone knows they don't grow on trees. They almost never go to free agency. You have to either trade for one or draft one. Well, the Flyers aren't really in a spot where they can draft one and, hope to God that he ends up being some superstar player. Unless they absolutely luck out some way, somehow. This isn't even a great center draft.
I have no idea who's in the draft outside.
No good centers. All the best players in this draft are wingers and defensemen, which
like you're pinning hopes right now, if you're looking in the system, on Berglund and Nesbitt. And it's going to be years. It's going to be years before we see those guys. Luchenko, we've talked about Luchenko to death. Luchenko's a 3.
I'm out.
It's okay if he's a 3. It's okay if he's a 3. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that, but I'm out as him. I'm out in terms of thinking of him as a important player who must be on the next great Flyers team.
I don't think you ever should have thought of him as that. I think that was
some
just
people do.
Well, some people are crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite part about not being on Twitter anymore is missing these takes, because people get themselves so worked up over certain guys. The only people to really work yourself up over right now are Porter Martone and Matvei Mishkov.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. And maybe Tyson Forrester, because you can see how good this team was with Tyson Forrester and how bad they are without him.
Should he be the team captain?
I think the team captain should be Travis Konecny.
I don't know, man. Tyson Forrester goes away, whole thing falls apart.
But that's not what the captain is. The captain is all about the locker room leadership and everything. But I think Tyson Forrester is an important part of the puzzle. That said, for the right trade piece, I would certainly be willing to dish out Tyson Forrester. I love Tyson Forrester to bits. Yeah. But so let me I got 3 names here, okay, at center. Yeah. And I would like to, I don't know if we should rank them. We should talk about them, because we got 15 minutes left for what we got allotted for this. So let's talk about these three guys that I have seen in different sorts of trade rumors out there. And we're going to start with a guy that I don't think seems very likely, but is a fascinating name. Okay. And that's Elias Pettersson, who is one of the ultimate should have drafted Flyers from back in the Nolan Patrick draft. Elias Pettersson got off to an amazing start in his career. He was just doing highlight reel stuff off the bat. And he's pretty much, he's slowed down a lot since then. And part of that is just how bad the Vancouver Canucks are. Literally the worst team in the league right now. And I don't know if it's Pettersson's fault, but he had a famous, I'm pretty sure it's not. Yeah. But he had a pretty famous, at least in hockey circles, you know, rivalry with JT Miller last year. It forced them to trade JT Miller. At one point, they were talking about trading Pettersson instead of Miller. And now they might not have either because Pettersson has come up. The potential of him getting traded has come up. 27 years old. He is a guy who we've seen have amazing years. Back in 22-23, he had 102 points. 23-24, he had 89 points. But then he slowed down last year. He had 45 points in 64 games. This year he has 33 and 46, which that ain't nothing, but it's not 100 plus, you know.
Right. But we know that that's in there with him. And
we know that's in there. And
we know he has the skill.
And we know, so I've talked with other people. We talked to Thomas and some other people at BSH who have watched a little bit more Pettersson than me, understand a little bit more fancy stats than me. And the guy can play defense. The guy can play the two-way game.
Yeah.
So considering he can do both, on paper, this seems like a great fit for the Flyers. They're going to have to give up a lot to get a guy like him, but it seems worth it, even though he does have a heavy cap hit. I believe it's 11 mil a season. But here's the big problem.
Yep.
Our head coach, it seems, again, we don't know this for fact, but just based on everything we've heard, it seemed like Pettersson and Rick Tocchet were not on very good terms.
What do you do? What do you do if you're Danny Briere?
I would ditch the coach and get Pettersson.
Do you say, listen, we heard this all the time about, the John Tortorella and Vincent Lecavalier situation where, they hated each other. And then basically the GM came downstairs into the locker room and sat them down and said, you two are fucking idiots. Figure your shit out. Figure it out. Because neither one of you are going. So figure it out. Learn to coexist. Because nothing's changing. Honestly, if I'm Danny Briere, I'm making that move for Elias Pettersson because guess what? You can get him for what he's worth. Like we've seen how good he can be. You can get that player for significantly less than he should get because he's just, he hasn't been playing to quite that level. But I know that he is that kind of caliber player. We've seen it several times. And he's a bona fide, no doubt about it, number one center. No question. What do the Flyers need? A bona fide, no doubt about it, number one center. Shut up, get this guy, and make him and fucking Rick Tocchet figure it out. I swear to God. Make them sit down, hash it out, yell at each other, hit each other. I don't care. Just figure it out and just put all your cards out on the table and just learn to coexist and make it happen. Honestly, if I'm Danny Briere, that is what I'm doing. Will he do that? Probably not. But
Probably not.
I think he's going to side with Rick Tocchet because I think he trusts Rick Tocchet.
Yeah, they were all in when they got Rick Tocchet. They were enthusiastic about that signing in a way that nobody in the fan base was because it was another Flyers retread, another guy. And the other thing that we said about Rick Tocchet when they made that hiring is Rick Tocchet's never done anything that significant in the NHL to warrant the excitement over hiring him as a head coach.
I know.
He had one stellar year with the Canucks where he won the Jack Adams. And it was great. He didn't win a cup. And he had terrible years over with Tampa Bay and the Coyotes. So I didn't understand it.
Tampa and Coyotes, I don't really.
They're bad situations, but that's his record. It's like, why are we so excited about this guy when he's only ever really just had like a year of greatness with Vancouver and then had a pretty good year and then it all fell apart. Mm-hmm. It struck me as weird, but I've liked some stuff from Tocchet. I have not liked some other stuff. It's been a real mixed bag to this point. And I just don't like the idea that the Flyers could miss out on a player of this caliber because of Rick Tocchet.
I
There was
a guy who
quote,
won't be. Listen, like, I'm going to be honest with you, Steve. I don't think he's going to be the head coach of the Flyers in 4 years. Once again, we are in this spot.
no
Like,
head coach for the Flyers lasts more than 4 years. It just doesn't happen.
why are they like? Why side with a guy who's not going to be here in 4 years? He's an older guy too. It's not like he's like
60 years old, I
45
believe,
years
right?
old. Yeah. He's like 60, 61, something like that. Like,
Yeah.
dude's going to want to retire, kick it up, kick his feet up at the cottage in Ontario somewhere. But like, why side with him and rob yourself of the opportunity to get a star level number one center just because he and the head coach aren't best buds?
Yeah.
Like I said before, Steve, fucking figure it out.
Figure it out,
Figure it
boys.
out.
Figure it out.
I'm so serious. Like, it's
I'm
just, it
serious
drives
too.
me nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. I was cracking up. I was reading Kurz over on the Athletic the other day about this, and this is a little mini taking it to the beat segment right here, where Kurz wrote about Pettersson. The Flyers are not interested. Full stop. That possibility was strongly denied to me by multiple team sources. Essentially, the Flyers don't believe Pettersson is the type of core player who could eventually lead them to a championship. Full stop.
Well, Steve, that's the thing. I believe him.
Oh, sure.
I believe what Kurz is writing. I believe his report there. And that's what makes me mad.
Running around saying, "Look, he ain't it."
That's what makes me furious, is that I think the Flyers do believe that. I feel like they do believe that you can't win with Elias Pettersson, a number one center who has scored 100 points in this league. Yeah. Why would you be able to succeed with that?
Well, I think one of the scary things, like if I'm doing pros and cons of Tocchet, one of the scary things right now is his handling of skill guys and, of course, the classic coach preference of gritty guys, because Noah Juulsen's only here because of Rick Tocchet. And I know for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, we're like, all right, Juulsen ain't that bad. Juulsen is that bad. Juulsen is slow as shit. He is just a dinosaur. We don't need any more Juulsens on this team. You look at who's that guy they traded away? I don't even remember his name anymore. They had another defenseman that like didn't even make it out of camp. They traded away. Gilberts?
Yeah.
Gilbert?
Not Ryan Gilbert.
Ryan Gilbert.
Dennis Gilbert.
Ryan Gilbert's got a long reach. He's a big time prospect right there. Dennis Gilbert. Yeah. Dennis Gilbert, you see Nick Delorier in the lineup as much as he's been. It's been a lot less lately, but for the first couple of months of the season, Nick Delorier was almost every night. So, that stuff worries you. And then you'll worry about he sees Christian Dvorak, who, again, I like Christian Dvorak more than a lot of the fans, but he's the guy who advocates to bring in Christian Dvorak and then sign him for a 5-year deal, where it's like, you're telling me I got Pettersson and not Dvorak? Like, give me Pettersson all day. Obviously, it's not a 1-for-1 with those two guys, but the fact of the matter is, you think about priorities, and if he's saying, don't get this guy, get this guy, and this guy's ceiling is like here, and this guy's ceiling is like through the roof, what are we doing? So Pettersson, we're all in, but we doubt it would.
Can't happen. It won't happen. So why even? Yeah.
So 2 more names for you. First one is a weird one, and I'm not even sure how to feel about this one, but I've seen pros and cons for this thrown around in Broad Street Hockey. Shane Wright, who was at one point a pretty hot shit prospect, and then he fell big time in the draft, and Seattle scooped him up. And Seattle, we're looking at he was number 4 on the Athletics trade board this week. And they wrote, rival scouts started hearing Wright's name in the rumor mill during World Juniors earlier this month. The 2022 number 4 pick, he fell way down. I mean, 1 to 4 is pretty far. But number 4 pick is still in a developmental phase, but has seen his offensive production dip from last season's 19-goal, 44-point campaign. Wright profiles as an intriguing two-way center and will likely only be moved in a trade that sees a player with similar upside going back to Seattle. The Kraken like their organizational depth down the middle and are looking for a game-breaking winger. How do we feel about Shane Wright?
I like that, but I hope people wouldn't think that he would solve their center issues.
Pettersson's one of those guys who's this is a number 1 center.
He's in no question number 1. Shane Wright, we didn't even know if he's a number 2.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
This is a project for sure.
Yeah. And listen, I would approve of them trading for Shane Wright. I think that'd be exciting because I think he has a very high ceiling, truly.
I
But we
especially
need to see
like
it.
that they say they're looking for a winger, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing the Flyers have. Like that's actually a trade that the Flyers could fulfill
Yep.
and maybe outbid another team on because they have a lot of really good wingers right now.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's a move that I would welcome, but it's not the move we ultimately want. I think I like the next guy we're going to mention, and I think we've talked about him before, but I
Yeah.
think I like the next guy on the list more than him. And Pettersson would be amazing, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
Shane Wright's a realistic move they could make, but you'd still need to trade for another guy, I think, on top of that.
Yeah, and it would be a smart move because I don't think it would cost a ton to get him, and he does have that. I think he has that star level potential. Will he reach it? Can't tell you, but he has that potential. So
yeah. So Wright's an interesting one. The last guy I want to mention, and I'm pretty sure we've mentioned him before, but I think he's worth mentioning again. Number 5 on the Athletics trade board, Rob Thomas, that smooth mother. But the Athletic wrote, nothing's off the table in St. Louis, including a potential deal involving the team's top line center. How likely that is depends on how you interpret the fact that his name has started to circulate again in chatter with rival teams. Thomas has experienced a slight dip in production this season, but he's coming off consecutive campaigns where he exceeded 80 points. He possesses strong puck skills and vision and can handle the challenge of facing tough competition every night. It would take a serious offer to land Thomas in the prime of his career, but the Blues are open for business. I am big time in on Rob Thomas. I think this is a realistic move for the Flyers and one that they could make, and I think they should make, because I think this is a guy who can step in tomorrow and be your number 1 center.
Considering the Flyers are, I'm not even considering them in the running for Elias Pettersson. I'm just going to say, I think I'm all in on Robert Thomas. Like he's 20, what is he, 26?
I think he's 27.
Young. Okay. Still, he's very
he's in
young.
his prime right now is the thing.
Yeah. He's very young. He is very good. And I feel like he would play a style of game that Rick Tocchet would probably like, because he does kind of have that two-way kind of, ability.
No, he's 26. He's 26. He was born July 2nd, 1999. So he'll be 27 in July. So yeah, that's a good age. And especially if you're looking to transition your team into that next phase, he's a guy who could really step in and be a key part of that.
Yeah. And listen, Steve, like the Flyers just can't keep going on with what they have at center. They have to do something. And when are you going to do something? Do it right. Like, I mean,
we're talking about selling, and you know what? I don't think they really have anybody to sell. So you know what? Fuck it. I don't even consider it buying. I just consider it smart moves for the future. If there are centers available now, go get them before other teams can get in there. Because
hockey trade, we need to start seeing some more hockey trades.
Yeah.
Well,
especially because all the big names that were supposed to be on the board this offseason re-signed. So you can't wait around for them to be available. You have to go out and get somebody.
Yeah. And, you snooze, you lose in this. We've seen it. And, the Flyers do have so many players that they could trade in a hockey trade. And I immediately go to Owen Tippett. I do.
A winger or 2 or 3 have to go. There are too many cooks in this kitchen. You only have so many guys for your top 6. You can only pay so many of those guys. Owen Tippett, who I think is playing his best hockey of his career this season. Owen Tippett has been way more consistent. He's getting more shots, more hits. He's been really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Tippett is like my number 1 easy.
No question.
Owen Tippett, and then I love him to bits, but Bobby Brink's on that list for me too.
I know. Yeah.
Those Bobby 2 guys, because they're really nice players, but you need centers. And those are the guys that I'm not giving up Mishkov unless it's Connor McDavid. I'm not giving up Martone for the same thing. Guys, elite guys. I would give those up for elite guys or potential for elite, but I'm not giving them up for like a Shane Wright or something like that. Whereas if you're going to take a Wright, maybe you can work a deal with like a Tippett or something like that. Like somebody with a high upside who has great intangible skills. Like Tippett's speed is unbelievable. He's, I swear he is the fastest Flyer I've ever seen. He's so good, but Tippett can't consistently put it together every night, but he's got speed and size, and he's somebody you can work in a deal. He's a valuable piece right there. Bobby Brink is super smart, and he's a little tougher than you think he is. Like he gets
way
in the muck.
tougher. Yeah.
So Brink's another really good piece, very intelligent player. There's a reason he plays well with Cates and Forrester. So those are guys and you're going to have to work one of them into a trade. So like, I would love to. And look, as I said before, Sean Couturier, nothing but respect for his Flyers career. He busted. He done. He cooked.
He's a fourth line center
Fourth line center
in an ideal world. That's what he is.
Sorry. Noah Cates. I love Noah Cates, right? Very smart player, good defensive player. He is not the same offensive impact without Tyson Forrester. I think that's undeniable at this point. And he's another third line center. On a good team, Christian Dvorak's a third line center.
Yeah.
Christian Dvorak has to be the first line center for this team because this team's center depth is so bad. Rodrigo Abel shouldn't even be in the league.
He's an AHL player.
Yeah.
Like,
so like they don't even have a second line center. Christian Dvorak is like an acceptable second line center, maybe, but like, if you want to be a really good team, you got to upgrade, get one of these guys. And there's a good piece up on Broad Street Hockey right now about Shane Wright. Go check that out.
You know who Dvorak reminds me of a little bit, like maybe not quite in play style, but like in terms of the level that they are. Like he would be so good as a third line center, like akin to like the HBK line, Nick Bonino.
Yeah,
that's his ideal role. I feel like is like a really, really, really good third line center. I think that would be perfect.
I like that, and if they're paying him like $5 million to be a third line center, that's fine.
Yeah,
because I think people have misinterpreted this signing as the intention that he's their first line center moving forward. It's not that.
No.
They just need a warm body until they figure it out. But if these guys are truly available, you got to work a deal out. And again, if it doesn't include Mishkov, Martone, or Forrester, I'm in.
Yeah. I don't care. Yeah, no, seriously. Like, honestly, in terms of guys who I think are movable, I think Owen Tippett's up there. I think Bobby Brink's up there. I think Ristolainen's up there. Although people keep talking about like they could get a significant return for them. No, they can't. You can trade him. You're getting almost nothing for him. So
if I'm a rival GM, why in God's name would I want Rasmus Ristolainen when every time he comes back, he gets hurt again and he just disappears for months at a time? We've seen that Rasmus Ristolainen can be a really good physical presence on the ice. Like he has had times this year where he's had really good games. Last year he was really good, but he can't stay healthy. I'm not trading for that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? He only has 1 year left on his contract after this. Like, I
can't wait.
Write it out. Whatever. It's over.
I can't wait. I wish there was a way to just magically get rid of the Risto contract, get rid of the Hathaway contract, get rid of the Couturier contract, because I think you'd have a lot more room to work. And I think people would have just a lot less like finger pointing with this team and everything. Like Hathaway, I was fine with the deal at the time. I didn't think he was going to fall off the cliff this year. He did. Right. He did. And he was never intended to be more than a fourth line player. That was never the intention. He doesn't get paid a ton. I just wish he did a little bit more. Having Delorier and Hathaway is where my problem is, because one of those guys should be your press box guy who comes out occasionally to play. Having a line last night with Delorier, Couturier, and Hathaway, and actually had an all right game, all things considered. Yeah. But it almost made me the Joker seeing that combination.
It was awful.
It was bad. It's just not a good. They're just slow. They're relics.
You know who else I could see being a possible trade option? And it might be a little bit of a hot take, but what's keeping the Flyers from trading Jamie Drysdale?
I mean, I'm in on that too.
He's a good player.
I really like Jamie, but his offensive upside is not what you expected it to be when you traded for him.
Still a good player. Now he's a no doubt about it NHL defenseman.
Yes.
I would trade him.
I think he's a really good second pair guy. I would not hesitate to trade him. I wouldn't hesitate to trade anybody on defense. And I actually really like a lot of the pieces on defense. Do I think they need a bona fide number one? Yes. Do I think they need a nasty son of a bitch Chris Pronger in there? Absolutely. But I would not hesitate to trade a single soul on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Travis Sanheim. He is a workhorse, plays well most nights. I think he's really good almost every night. I trade him a heartbeat.
I'm not even putting him in the conversation just because the no move clause. But
the no move clause. And also, I mean, he is a workhorse. He's going to be in there every night. And you're never going to, you might regret trading him. You probably won't, but you might. Whereas I don't think you'd probably regret trading Jamie Drysdale. I don't think you'd regret. I really like Cam York. I don't think you'd regret trading Cam York.
Me neither.
You definitely wouldn't regret trading Rasmus Ristolainen. The one guy who you might regret trading, if you don't really get a lot in the deal with him, might be Emil Andre. Because I could see Emil Andre going to the right team that actually realizes how to use him, a la Shane Gostisbehere or something like that,
yeah,
and see him taking off, because that dude has serious skills. But everybody else, man, I don't care. They do need to upgrade their defense, but it's like lowest priority for me, because they got this offseason. I need to see a replacement for Sam Harrison. I can't do Sam Harrison ever again.
No, he's
so over him.
He has to, like, he cannot be back. No
that
way.
5-hole goal, man, in the Bruins game was so brutal. And like he does this almost every game. He has at least like 2 goals a game where you're just like, what are you doing? Like, you just got to step up and make some saves. Dan Vladar is legitimately an NHL goaltender, and he might be a good patchwork starter until Bjarnason or Zifragan's ready. Sam Harrison ain't it. I'm over with the Sam Harrison experiment. You got to upgrade center. And again, you've got 3 candidates out there that you could work with. You probably have even more, but those are 3 guys that we identified that we like, that we would really like them to move in on. And I mean, it goes Pettersson, Thomas, Wright, as far as order goes, right?
Yeah.
And again, Pettersson, I know, is very unlikely just due to the Rick Tocchet of it all. And it sucks. It sucks hard, but it is what it is. Robert Thomas, let's go. Let's do it.
I would love that. And listen, man, Owen Tippett, see ya. Cam York, see ya. Let's bring him in. Let's get a 1C. I do not care. They cannot go into next season with the same group of centers.
Well, because
that cannot happen, Steve. I swear to God.
It can't happen. And again, Noah Cates, great player. I don't care. I would trade Noah Cates in a heartbeat too. And I really like him. But anybody, you got to upgrade. You can't do this again. You can't do this to the fans. You can't do this to Travis Konecny.
I know. Poor guy.
His soul is getting sucked out of his body, and he's giving like his all every night.
I know.
You got to figure out Couturier. You got to upgrade center. And you can't like, I've heard rumblings about them like maybe raising ticket prices again like next year. And these season ticket holders are some of the most dedicated in sports. And you can't keep doing this to them if you're not going to upgrade the team. Like, you know what? I'm sure nobody wants to pay an upgrade, especially with inflation and how expensive everything is anymore. But if you're upgrading the team, if you're committed to actually like putting a great team out there, we'll accept that. We'll at least like, all right, fine. At least they're trying. It doesn't feel like they're trying right now. And people are pissed off. People are frustrated for a reason. No, we missed the playoffs. We want the Xbox or whatever the hell you call it to be rocking every night. It ain't rocking. People barely care. You walk around the city, you see a Flyers fan. Like,
you're surprised if you see Flyers gear.
And somebody thought I was wearing a Flyers shirt the other day, and I was actually just wearing an orange shirt. And they're like, "Oh, Flyers! Oh no, it's not the Flyers." I'm like, "Well, don't get me started about the Flyers, my friend, because I could talk." And you know what I hear almost universally when people talk about the Flyers around Philadelphia that are not wearing like Flyers gear? They go, "Yeah, I used to watch the Flyers a lot, but I really just dropped off in the past few years." People don't care. People are apathetic. So my guys, take a swing, rescue us from this obscurity, from this mediocrity, from this bullshit. Please, for the love of God,
do something. Just do something.
Just do something. Well, I think that's a great, lovely note to leave things off on. So this was fun. I felt very cathartic after this. This was like an airing of grievances.
I'm still mad at the world, but
there's a lot of things to be mad at in the world. Catherine O'Hara passed away today too.
R.I.P. Queen.
R.I.P. Who's just one of the great sketch comedian actress. Home Alone, Beetlejuice,
Schitt's Creek.
She was doing some of the best work of her career in the past like 10 years. I mean, she's amazing on the studio. She's unbelievable on the studio. And I thought the Beetlejuice sequel was just so, but she's great in it. She's like really good in it. So Catherine O'Hara, that's a true tragedy right there. So it's a shame. And just, I'm sure I don't have to remind you all about what's going on in the world. We don't need to talk about that here. It's Flyperbole. You don't need to hear that here, but things are bad. It would be really nice if we had a hockey team to make things better. Sadly, we don't, but hey, goals for next season. Let's get on it, Danny Briere. Porter Martone's coming. Let's give him some support.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right. We're going to head out of here. Folks, if you have any feedback for us, best places on the socials, Quigs, where can people find you on the socials?
Oh, how about at RP or Jesus? How about at Ryan Quigs with a Z? Thank you very much.
RIPD Quigs at twitter.org. You can find me at Flyperbole over at Blue Sky. You can also find it Flyperbole over on Instagram and TikTok. Oh, wow. How about that? I'll try to get a clip out this week. I haven't gotten a clip in a little bit. I'm getting that clip out this week for sure. All right. And that's pretty much it. Follow Broad Street Hockey. You can catch me on PHL post games, blah, blah, blah. All right. We are out of here. Until next time, in the words of the great Gene Hart, good night and good hockey. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.